So in preparation for doing this video, I rewatched the musical for what must be the 15 millionth and 12th time-ish, give or take. I love it just as much, and I have They Got the Mustard Out stuck in my head, and it has been for the past 2 days, and I don't even care.
Put the bucket back in the box.
So welcome back to Episode by Episode, a series of videos where I talk about every single episode of a TV show. We're on Buffy Season 6. If this is your first time here, do hit like and subscribe if you do enjoy this video. Plenty of movie content on the channel as well. I do reviews for as many new releases as I possibly can, as well as the TV content. So yeah, if that sounds like your thing, do hit subscribe, because I don't have enough people to talk to about this in my personal life, so I'm relying on the internet to be my friend. Season 6 of Buffy, then, is a season that I'm not a huge fan of, to tell you the truth. I think it's got some strong elements. I think it's got some really strong elements, actually. There are aspects to this season that I think work amazingly well, but there's so much of it that doesn't. So much of it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth, and quite a lot of it is a little bit dull and monotonous at times as well, and character choice. We'll get to it. We'll get to my problems with this. But yeah, this isn't going to be a bashing of Season 6. I say it's Buffy. I still love it. It's just where the season kind of ranks in my listing, and there is a ranking video on the channel. This is quite low, and even on a rewatch, that hasn't really changed. My opinion on it is pretty much the same as it was. But let's get started with bargaining. So bargaining had a lot to do. It was the first episode of Buffy to air on a new network, and the first one to air after Buffy herself had died. Bit of a predicament for the show to find itself in, but they got out of it reasonably well, I think. I like that she's not instantly out. Like, Buffy's not instantly out of the ground and back with everybody. She's missing for most of the first episode, actually. From memory, it's only the tail end of the first episode that she comes back in. And the rest of it is taken up with the rest of the Scooby Gang trying to work out how to deal without Buffy. Like, they've been getting by just about, but lots of things are coming up. Not just demons and vampire attacks. There's also the fact that Buffy needs to make herself seen and present for Dawn at school. And we quickly see they're doing this with the Buffy bot, who is a lot of fun in these episodes. She is. I actually kind of feel sad with what happens to her. I think that's in part 2. I think they handled it pretty well. They were able to have everybody being pretty dour and somber over what's happened. But given that it's enough time for them to be not constantly miserable, you can still tell they're not exactly enjoying things at the moment. The Buffy bot's a nice bit of levity, I think, in the proceedings, something that's needed. Because when Buffy comes back, we don't get a chipper Sarah Michelle Gellar, we get a very, very dark one. Clawing away out of the ground is done so well. Like, it's the best kind of clawing away out of the ground that I've seen. Supernatural did it as well, but they brushed over it a little bit, I think. They really show Buffy trying to get herself out of there, and it's kind of horrible to watch. And it's horrible to see Buffy just so out of it like she is here. She's no idea what's going on. She's barely aware of anything, and it takes Dawn, really, and back up on top of that tower that collapses to really kind of make her not completely snap out of it, but be at least some semblance of Buffy again. It would have been so easy for them to just have Buffy pop back out the ground and she's fine again, which is kind of what Supernatural did. Although I do love Lazarus Rising, episode where they do it. But I really like that they take their time with it. It's not an instant fix, and it shows that the spell they did, which is done really well, by the way. I love that with all the demon bikers coming in to disrupt it. Brilliant scene. But they show that it's dangerous, that there are repercussions to the things that they do, and it's not just going to be an easy fix. That's really important to do, because otherwise it would just cheapen what came at the end of Season 5, and I still think it does to a degree. Like, I'm not as sad watching The Gift now, because I know that she comes back. But this is the best way that they could have done it, I think. And I mentioned those demons as well. They're a pretty generic band of villains, really. Like, they don't offer a huge amount, but it's kind of the right way to go, because we didn't need a villain that was too in-depth on this one. Just a demon biker gang kind of cuts it, because the main drama comes from Buffy. Some good character moments for everybody here. Spike is as good value as ever. I'm enjoying his relationship with Dawn. It's great fun to watch the two of them together. Giles leaves, and it makes total sense for him to leave. Like, I get that. It's a good decision for the character. I mean, I miss Anthony Stewart Head as a regular, but I understand it. This is all about Buffy and everybody else growing up. And it's kind of hard for them to do that with Giles there, because he is the father figure to the group, and they needed that cut away from them. So overall, this is an episode I don't really have too many problems with. I think it's a really strong start to the 6th season, and one that's full of some great writing and some good performances. Yeah, solid one for Season 6, bargaining. Afterlife. It's not often an episode of Buffy actually creeps me out or gives me the Wiggins, as they would say. But Afterlife is one of them. Hush is another one that comes to mind with a gentleman. But yeah, there's some really creepy stuff in this with everybody getting possessed. Anya in the bed with Xander, absolutely made me jump the first time I watched it. And it still freaks me out now. Dawn getting possessed is done really well. I just love the idea that something from the Afterlife followed Buffy and is causing all of this trouble. Because again, like I said with bargaining, it shows that doing what they did with that spell, they're not going to get off from it scot-free. Like, there's repercussions to it. There's a penance, really, that has to be paid, because they did something very, very unnatural. And aside from all that, Sarah Michelle Gellar does a really good job as Buffy here. She's kind of getting back to her old self again, but very, very slowly. It's not a quick process at all, and she really nails that, I think. She nails that in the performance. Like, I fully sympathise with Buffy and what she's going through here. It must be so daunting to come back and see what's changed and to realise how long you've been gone for. And yet, she conveys that, I think, really, really well. And Spike is great in this one as well. Like, he really wants Buffy back. Like, one of his big wishes would be to have Buffy back after she died. But he's angry that they did it, because he gets it more than they do, that there are repercussions to have from doing this sort of magic. And it's good to see Spike kind of being the level-headed one out of everybody. In that conversation with Xander, it's Spike who's making the most sense. And, you know, it kind of shows how things are going if Spike's the one who's the logical person out of a group. And the scene between him and Buffy at the end as well is just performed so well, and it's written so well. Like, what an absolutely devastating twist to have the fact that Buffy wasn't in hell. That she was in the heaven, essentially. She was in whatever heaven is, she was in the good place. And her friends snatched her out of that good place, and now this is like hell to her. Like, what an amazing twist. And when I said about them not getting away with that spell, like, this is another aspect of it. They did something for them. They were saying they were doing it for Buffy, but they just wanted Buffy back themselves, and they didn't really think about where Buffy could be. And yeah, it's a clever narrative twist to do that, because I remember the first time I watched it having no idea that that was coming, and it's just such a cool way to handle bringing somebody back from the dead. They didn't want to come back. Flooded. Okay, so I'll get through what I liked about this first. Giles coming back is so well done. Seeing his reaction to Buffy being there is just... Anthony Stewart Head's great. He's such a good actor, and he's so good in that scene. It's an almost... There's not a lot said in that scene, but there's not a lot that needs to be said. You can tell just by the way they look at each other. And that scene between him and Willow, one of my favourite scenes on the whole show, actually. Giles calling her a rank amateur and yelling at her, like, it's... Yeah, okay, you get why he's angry. But Willow threatening him? Oh, Willow. It's really slow seeds being planted for how far Willow's going to fall. Until we get later in the season where they kind of whack it on the head a little bit too hard to make it obvious where they're going. But at this stage, Willow just issuing that threat was a chilling moment. I guess I should talk about the trio then. I don't know. I mean, Andrew, I think, has got good value, more so in Season 7 than in this one. Jonathan, I don't really feel that he would have gone down this route. I don't think he would have gone down the villainous route, because he's been through so much. And he's quite closely connected to the Scooby Gang. Like, he doesn't know everything about them. But, you know, you consider him almost an ally if they needed him. Not a particularly helpful one, but I just don't see him going down this road. I don't see him being part of something that's out to cause harm to people. And that's always been jarring to me that he did. And it's always made me struggle to connect. I think Warren's the best of the three, just because there's something really dickish about Warren. Like, he's not a nice guy at all. And Adam Bush plays him in a very charismatic way, which I think helps. But yeah, as far as big bads go, I'm not a fan of the trio that much at all. I find them very silly, and I know Willow obviously becomes the big bad, but for the most part of the season it's them. I just find them very silly, very over the top, and just a real step down from Glory. Perhaps that's their biggest problem, that they're following on from a character as awesome as Glory. Like, she's very hard to top. But yeah, these guys came nowhere near for me. The rest of the episode, I guess, was fine. Like, this is kind of where I get some problems with Season 6, because I understand what they're doing. They're trying to show sort of the banality of adult life, really, and how stressful it can be, and how boring at times it can be. But it's just not that exciting to see Buffy having to deal with the flood and trying to get alone. Like, it's not really why I come to this show. The character moments are, yeah, but this isn't the sort of character moments that I like to watch. And that's one of the main issues I have with the whole of Season 6. And it's why I can understand if some people like it. Like, if you connect to that part of the story, you're going to get a lot more out of this season than people like me do. So a mixed bag of an episode, Flooded. Some things I liked, some things I didn't. Which I can also say is the same about the next episode, Life Serial. Like, Buffy going through all the different jobs. I mean, again, it's fine. Like, it's not groundbreaking, it's not bad, it's just kind of run-of-the-mill. And if you're going to do a time loop, I mean, I appreciate this was quite a few years ago now, but if you're going to do a time loop, you need to make it really, really solid. I mean, The X-Files, the episode Monday comes to mind of a show that did it really, really well. With this, it works to a degree. There are certain aspects of the time loop plot that I think are quite funny, quite engaging, quite clever, but other aspects of it are just quite predictable, quite sort of run-of-the-mill. And I always expect more. And don't even get me started on a poker game with kittens as currency. Like, I just don't understand that. That even when I watched it and I was a teenager at the time, I was kind of like, ugh, oh, that's a bit embarrassing. And it is, like, why kittens? I don't get it. It's not funny, it's not clever, it's just weird. All the way. It's kind of the third in a row that's just kind of a, episode. Like, I like that Dawn gets some focus here, and it's nice to see her going through sort of the dating scene, because this is kind of how we saw Buffy in season 1. Dawn's kind of filling that role now, and I think she does it really well. Michelle Trachtenberg, for her part, puts in a good performance here. Like, I genuinely feel bad for her that her first kiss was with the vampire, but it's quite fitting for a summer's girl, I guess. But for the main bulk of the episode, it just feels like one without any real focus. It doesn't really feel like a well put together story. There are certain aspects of it that work. Willow putting that spell on Tara. Yeah, Willow, you've been a bit of a dick in season 6, you really are. But in the end, a lot of All the Way is just quite forgettable. Once more with feeling. I remember the first time I watched this and I was obsessed. I instantly bought the CD for it. Like, instantly. It was like, I have to have this album. Don't regret it. I've still got it, in fact. And the episode itself was one that I was looking forward to more than I looked forward to any episode of TV when it first aired. And it didn't disappoint. I may in fact do a video ranking the songs in Once More with Feelings. I thought that just popped into my head. If you want to do that, let me know. Because I don't know how I'd rank them, actually. That's going to be difficult. Because every single song in this has something about it that's great. Every single song. Drawn to the Fire, I listen to every couple of weeks still because it's such a well-crafted song. So well written, so many different things in it. Like the fire engines going past in the background right on cue. It's just so much thought has been put into this episode. This is one of Joss Whedon's best things he's ever done. And this isn't just a throwaway musical at all. It's a musical with actual depth. That what they're singing about matters. Like, it's relevant. Willow and Tara's love songs, Anna and Anya's jaunty little wedding number. Like, there's little character beats in there that come out through song. And it's so good. It could easily have just been an episode where, they just sing. It's all about the songs, but it's not, because it's Buffy. There are songs in there, they're great, but it's much more about the character and what the power of song does to them and what it brings out of them and what we learn about them. And it's very dark as well. The fact that they die if they dance too much is very macabre. I love it. Hinton Battle is so charismatic as the demon in this one. Sweet. He's so good. I could just watch that character for hours on end because he just oozes charisma and he's the perfect villain for an episode like this. It's a 10 out of 10 episode, it is. The only one little thing I didn't like, that it was Xander that caused all this. That didn't really make much sense to me for that character. But the rest of the episode is so good that even though it's a problem, like, I just kind of forget about it and ignore it because everything else is so strong. At the end, the kiss, done really well. I just love where do we go from here. Oh, I love these songs. I really do. Just thinking about them now just makes me want to go and listen to every single one again. There's a reason Once More With Feeling is heralded as one of the best episodes of the show, and that's because it is, like, no contest. Just from the opening music being changed to be more sort of musical-like, to the closing moment of the curtains coming across, just, as I say, a lot of thought was put into it, and it paid off in spades. Fantastic episode. Tibula Raza is quite strong as well, mainly for the Willow side of things, because Tara finds out here and leaves her, and it's a crushing moment. But you can't argue with the fact that Willow deserves it. She does. She's doing horrible, horrible things, and she's been caught out, and too right Tara should go. It's a breach of not just trust, but it's a breach of everything that they've built up together for Willow to do this to Tara. Luckily, it's not all misery, though, because there's a lot of fun to be had. Buffy and Spike are dealing with the fallout from that particular kiss. And what a perfect time for everybody to lose their memory. And it's done brilliantly. It's so much fun. Giles and Anya thinking they're engaged. Brilliant. Spike thinking he's Giles' kid. Amazing. It's just an excuse for the cast to just have fun, and it really comes across that way. It's a great deal of fun while having some heavy moments in it as well. And it's not just the Willow-Tara breakup. By the end of this episode, Giles is gone, and we don't see him again for quite some time. And yeah, really, really gets me, that scene. Michelle Branch's song, Goodbye to You, that plays over it. Just the kind of perfect song for this moment, I think. Maybe a little on the nose, but it really, really works. The second in a row from Season 6 that's really, really strong. It's just kind of a shame that after this one, things take a bit of a downturn. Smashed. So I like that we get Amy back. It's good to see her again. She's been a rat for far too long. But this is the part for me where Willow's story, I've just said the phrase on the nose, but I'm going to say it again, gets a little bit too on the nose. Magic being used as a drug addiction. That's the metaphor here, and you can't miss it because it's so clear, it's so blatant, that it kind of takes away from it. And between this and the next episode, it's just so relentless that it just becomes a bit, come on, can we move on from this? And that's not what Buffy should be like. So this is what I mean with Season 6 having problems. I've never really been like that with Buffy before, but I just kind of wanted them to get over what they were doing. I just kind of wanted them to move past it because it was becoming a bit mundane. Talking a lot about Wrecked here as well. Let's focus on Smashed. The diamond stealing freeze ray, just, again, the trio, it just doesn't seem like Buffy. It seems like something out of a spy parody. Not this show. Like a freeze ray? Come on, we can do better than that. I guess Edgar Valley, there were certain fun things about it, but just a freeze ray? By far the most interesting stuff, though, is Buffy and Spike. The two of them, the chemistry in that final scene where they're kind of going at it as a house falls down on them. Yeah, that's cool. But before that even, Spike figuring out he can hit Buffy. What a shock that must be for Buffy. Like, is she human? Is she not? Like, how is this possible? It's a great reveal. It's a great twist. And Spike's instant, well, I'm going to kill her then, is very much in keeping with the character as it is when he in fact doesn't. He instead has sex with her. I think overall the episode is very, very average, but the Buffy and Spike stuff in particular is some of the more stronger aspects of it. Continuing on with Wrecked then, because I did briefly talk about the whole Willow stuff. I won't go into that too much with those particular issues because I've just said it. But yeah, it's a real shame because some of the Willow stuff here works really well. I mean, it's shocking to see the state that she's in and what she's willing to do, like putting Dawn in danger. Like, Willow would never do that. So there are very, very strong aspects to this particular story. But as I say, just the way it's handled is so just heavy-handed. Like, she may as well have been on heroin or something at the end of the episode. The way it's dealt with, the way she's kind of going through withdrawals from it. Like, it's just, you can be more subtle than this, Buffy. That being said, some of the drama that comes from it is pretty cool. Dawn slapping Willow, like, good on you, Dawn. She deserved it. Great moment. And Buffy telling Willow to stay away as well. Like, the gravity of what Willow's doing isn't lost. I think it's handled much better seeing everybody else's reaction to it than when we're actually in the moment with Willow herself. But yeah, this is the point of Season 6 where it really started to lose me. I mean, I still enjoy it because it's Buffy, but nowhere near as much as I had been for the last 3-4 seasons. So the last episode for this video then is Gone. And yeah, Gone's fine. Like, it's an improvement over the last couple, but not by a huge amount. It's nice to have Sarah Michelle Gellar having some fun with the story, like Buffy invisible and what she can get up to while she's invisible. Yeah, it's fun. Seducing Spike, for example, was a really, really funny moment and kind of shows the weird little relationship that these two have going together now. But one of the big issues I have, and again, it's to do with the trio, is that they made an invisible ray, an invisibility ray. Like, who are these guys? Like, how are they able to do these things? To make an invisibility gun? Like, it's much like the freeze ray from a couple of episodes back. It just seems so stupid. Like, I don't buy for 1 second, no matter how much talent these guys have, that they can build these things. Just 3 guys in a basement can build a fucking invisibility gun. It really takes me out of the story, and it's why I hate the trio in these early episodes so much. I think once things get a little bit darker, those characters get a lot better, but when they're just building all these crazy gadgets that God knows how they can make, I can't take them seriously. And as a result, I can't really take the show that seriously either with that aspect of it. But some of the character stuff in this episode is really strong, I think. Buffy and Willow at the end, the two of them sitting there talking and Willow saying that she nearly used the magic. It's nice. It is. It's nice that Buffy is still there for Willow, despite what's happened, despite everything she did, because these two have been through so much together and they're so close that it'd take a lot to drive them apart. Xander and Anya, a good value as well, sort of the two of them together. I really, really enjoy helping Buffy with all the invisibility stuff. There's a lot of fun to be had from them. So yeah, an okay episode. Certainly not a bad one, but not one of the greats either. So that's the first 11 episodes of Season 6, Bargaining, Part 1 and 2, I just did as one. I'll be doing the second half of Season 6 next week. Looking forward to talking about that because I think the season ends on a really, really strong note. But now over to you. What did you think of these first 11 episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 6? Do let me know in the comments below. Rank them, rate them, do whatever you want. Let me know what you think about the episodes. And give me your thoughts on Season 6 as a whole as well, because I know it's a very divisive season. There's a lot of people who don't really care for it and a lot of people that love it. And I find it interesting that Buffy fans can be on such separate sides of the fence. But the good thing about Buffy fans is that we don't argue about it. We just talk like rational, normal human people. So yeah, let's talk Buffy. Thank you very much for watching. As I say, do like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video and you want to see more. Look out for my review of Bohemian Rhapsody, hopefully coming tomorrow, maybe on Friday. I'll get it up as soon as I can. You can follow me on Twitter as well, at Joe Julians, which is also my name on Stardust, which is a cool app where you can post your reactions to TV shows and movies. A really fun one. Do follow me if you are on there. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.